who was former Assistant Minority Counsel on the Watergate Committee, and Ron Hosko, President of the Law Enforcement Legal Defense Fund and a former Assistant Director of the FBI. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being here. Mr. Madigan, let me start with you. Having been there, what goes through your mind about these Watergate comparisons?
Well, I don't think there is really any comparison to Watergate. In Watergate, we had a real criminal act that had taken place and a variety of other matters associated with it, whereas in the current situation, as one of your guests previously said, there's nothing to be shown in terms of any kind of criminal conduct in the situation that we're talking about tonight.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, and let me stay with you for a minute, Mr. Madigan, if that is the case, why would you go forward with appointing a special counsel in a situation where so far there are no actual crimes for them to investigate?
Well, I think that we've seen, and the White House has seen, a huge beating of the drum. I think anybody that could get to a TV set had demanded a special counsel, and at the end of the day, I think they decided, with all the hoo-ha that had been going on, despite the fact that there is no evidence of illegality anywhere in this, that it would be better to appoint a special counsel. And Rod appointed probably the best guy on the planet to do that. He is just a terrific choice, and that's where we are now.
But, you know, you see, and just staying with you, Mr. Madigan, you see how it snowballs. You see how what you just said is that because there's, you know, a lot of calling for it, and because there's a lot of smoky stuff out there, and the fire hasn't quite been found, that's how we find ourselves where we are. And you watched the president today speaking at the news conference saying, you know, that there was nothing, there's no collusion, there's nothing under this. He's enormously frustrated with the way that this has been allowed to sort of spin out of control. Now, if there's something there, it will be found, as you point out, by the former FBI Director Robert Mueller. But does it trouble you, having watched a president unravel before, that this has led to this stage of the game already? Do you find it troubling?
Yes, I do find it troubling, and I understand very well why the president is very frustrated with it. I frankly, you know, have been through a lot over the years, including the matters that we've been talking about you know, in Watergate, and yet with no evidence of everything, they just keep harassing him on every turn, and I can see why he gets upset in that kind of activity.
So let me bring in Ron Hosko. Ron, so the result of all of this is that we now don't have an FBI director, and Joe Lieberman is considered, by the president's own admission, a top pick at this point. What do you think about the process here?
The process of selecting a new director?
Yeah.
You know, it's very curious to me, Martha. I know personally a number of people who I don't believe have been contacted that should have been from within the FBI, and also know a number of folks outside of the FBI that I think have the right experience, are young enough to do this with the right vigor. And to me, those are the two key characteristics. That experience, and I'm not trying to disparage Joe Lieberman. I have said on the record, cross through anybody with a D or an R after their name. And I really see Joe Lieberman as somebody with an I after his name. He seems to pitch right down the middle. But from my review of his background, he doesn't have near the federal prosecutive investigative experience that I think an FBI director needs to be able to hit the ground running. This is a complex, big organization with a lot of moving parts.
Very quickly, Rod Rosenstein, Ron, you're concerned about the reason for him writing that memo and what happened.
Yeah, very much so. You know, Rod's a smart guy. He is a capable prosecutor. But I wonder whether he was witting, knowing that he was writing the memo and the memo really didn't matter. It was just going to give cover for another real reason. And you know, my view is, look, the president has the absolute right to fire the FBI director for a good cause.
Right. Or
for no cause at all. I don't like the shape of his nose.
Jim Comey said himself.
But not for a bad cause. And my fear is that's involved here.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Good to see you.